back, Alchemist, to Abundance Thursdays with myself, Walter Merlo, and the great Vinney Smile Chopra. Vinney, you were just on vacation in Cabo.
Cabo, brother, Cabo. I went to attend a wedding of my partner, my good friend, very good friend in hotels. And what a wedding it was. 4 days, 4 days long, so many events, so much dancing, so much eating and drinking, all the good stuff. But so much energy from the groom and the bride and the groom together. I've never seen any wedding ever where the bride and the groom had so much fun and they were with the all the 250 people. I mean, just mind-blowing, surprise after surprise after surprise. And fireworks, on the beach, and then all these beautiful things, and fireworks inside in the hall also, all these things. It was beautiful.
So people put time and intention into creating
Yes.
a 4 day. I think 1 day weddings, a lot of Americans do 1 day weddings are a lot and they put a lot of intensity, but 4 day weddings, that's a
Yes.
jam. That's a different experience. That's almost like our summit that we do in Orlando. We're all spend all this time together with the
Yep.
fireworks and the
Mm-hmm.
experience. So, Vinny,
So
today's
true.
principle is one that you and every other multimillionaire, extremely wealthy individual has said to me is important. This comes right out of the book Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. The principle
Wow.
is principle 15, the fixity of purpose. Develop a fixity of purpose. For anybody who's listening, what are we focused on here? Abundance Thursdays is really about opening your mind, opening your heart, opening your mindset to a place of getting into abundance and getting away from scarcity, moving into a place of having, a
Mhm.
place of thinking grander, doing the things that you want to do, living that life, and putting aside limitations or the past,
Yeah.
like moving more with positivity, moving more with what you want to create in this world, what you're supposed to be doing. And we also are obsessed with real estate. Vinny Chopra has been in real estate for most of his life, built a portfolio of
Yeah.
over $1 billion, over 7,000 doors. He's done it in multifamily. He's very heavy in hospitality. He's done in senior assisted living. He's even done residential assisted living. He has done flips. He's owned duplexes. Vinny's done not everything in real estate, but a lot of a few things in real estate to a great scale. So he's a man of scale. Came to the country with $7. This is for anybody who's never heard of him before. Came to the country with $7. Was an engineer. Still technically thinks like an engineer, and that's what allows him to scale at this degree. As we're going into this principle, Vinny, a lot of people don't understand the importance of fixity of purpose. And I read the book Think and Grow Rich 3 times before I understood what it meant to form a burning desire, to come up with a thing that you wanted more than anything else. And I realized that was what kept me where I was and didn't allow me to get to where I wanted to go. And now as I'm older, I just think, wow, I really should have aimed better. I could have aimed better. When did you realize that you were a very focused person? When was it that you realized that what you wanted to accomplish always seemed to accomplish, even though other people would set a similar goal at the same time as you would realistically within a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years hit the target. Some of these very hard
Yeah.
goals you'd hit that. At what point did you realize that you were different or that the fixity of purpose was different? People would say a thing, but you would do the thing. How did you
You
know?
know,
When did you realize that?
I'm so glad we are discussing this today, really. And that has been the backbone of my life, my career in USA when I arrived with $7 in my pocket and big dreams, but nothing else, no connections. Just my really nice uncle sponsored me and paid for my tuition at George Washington University. And I just made up my mind right then. I'm not going to ask for a single dime more. That was the moment that just got me so fired up. I want to do things, whatever it takes, to earn money in this new land and do anything possible, right? I could have flipped burgers, I could have worked at, all these dishwashing, things like that. But one of my friends said, Vinny, I sold encyclopedias and, they were really great. I liked, how much money he made and so forth. So I said, okay, let's go. Let's go. So just making a decision is so important. and you fix it. You fix it. You say, no turning around, no going back. You got to look to make that opportunity bring the best of anybody. And I sold books, as you know, 13 hours a day, 80 hours a week, 6 days a week, for all through summers, and made a lot of money. Then came back next year, came back. What? Rejection, slamming of doors, all those things, right? But persistence pays off. It always pays off. If you are in for the good, things will happen for you. And I got started getting rewards and others. My sales went up in 3 summers while I went to school in the fall. Summer I will go and sell books, encyclopedias, bibles, all those things. So fixity, what we are talking about today, think and grow rich. You cannot go to a location if you don't put a GPS where you want to go. It's very similar to that. You can be wandering generality, and then you will not accomplish what you want to really become. Look at the magnifying glass. I always say that too. Take it outside in the sun, and then you go up and down. Unless the magnifying glass has pointed the rays into one place, one dot, then only it starts to burn the back of the hand or catches fire on a paper or whatever. So it's so important that we just get locked in with the goal, what we want to do, and burn all the bridges.
Vinny, I'm going to relate this to something that is really real to me. So I remember a few years ago, I was operating very heavily in real estate. I was moving, I was involved. And about 5 years ago, I said, I want to make a shift. I got into this. I've been in this 16 years, my 16th year now. I got into
Mhm.
this not for operations. I got in this to be a passive lender. I wanted to be a passive investor. I wanted passive income. Passive income was 16 years of work. Well, it was 12 years of working at the time, or 11 years of working at the time. And I look back and I said, oh my goodness, all I am is a knowledgeable person in real estate with a lot of net worth because that's what I focused on. And I made a shift about 5 years ago. I said, I did say it then, I need to shift my mindset towards what acquires true passive income. And I started really focusing on something I learned 10 years ago called GNN, Gwalter Not Needed. And when I started shifting, I started looking at everything I had and I said, how could I liquidate? How could I get to passive income? How could I get to other people doing the work? Instead of OPM, I was thinking OPT, other people's time, other people's energy, other people's knowledge, other people's skills. And because I made a decision, I made a switch. I said, no more real estate knowledge, no more real estate building, no more real estate anything. I just want
Mm.
passive income. And that shift took about a year before I started my lending business. And then before you know it, I had $1 million lent out. And now today, me and Dorina have 3.6 or almost $4 million lent out. And it was because we just said, wow, this is good. And our fixity
Yeah,
shifted. We said, how do we get more? But I
yeah,
know a lot of people who are house rich, cash poor, a lot of people who are business rich, cash poor. They have these wonderful assets, but they're not making anything. Right. And there's an opportunity right now in today's world to make a shift. Right. There's a
yeah.
chance to make a change. How do how do
It,
people wake up, Vinny? Because you worked hard too. Like you were selling books, you were trading your time for dollars, you were working, you were working. You're a young Hindu man in America selling Bibles.
yes,
All right. So you were
yes, yes.
trading like belief systems, you're trading time, you're trading energy. At some point a decade ago, you really started shifting into passive income, even though you
20,
did
20
all of
years,
this
20 years actually. We've
20
been
years ago.
investing in real estate. I've been married 46 years this year, thank goodness, with a lovely wife. But the big thing is that we got into real estate because of peer group in California. When we'll meet over the weekends, they'll talk about their rentals and homes and single family, rental. And that's what we started buying. But then 20, 30 years back, it just didn't make sense to me because the single family game is very simple. It's not big cash making machine at all. So that's when I learned the power of syndication, power of helping friends and family to find the best deals and then have them ask them if they would like to invest in it. And that has been what you just mentioned, OPM. OPT is other people's time, OPM is other people's money. And that's the key to success of any entrepreneur. All these companies, look at the Google, look at Amazon, look at everything. They have been raising money from investors. They
With
sell
hundreds of
shares.
thousands of employees, hundreds of
Woo!
thousands of employees doing all the
Totally.
work.
Totally,
Yes.
totally,
Yes.
totally. And investors like us buy their shares, their
Right.
stock, and own a very, 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 very small portion, but they make profit for the investors.
Right.
That's exactly what in real estate is syndication. It's a bad word. A lot of people don't like it. But once you get into it, it's very good because you're really having the investors to share their wealth or their money, and you give them back 70 to 80% of your efforts go to give them cash flows and upside.
I was just talking to an operator here in Cleveland 30 minutes ago. I took him out
Oh,
to lunch, and he's a real big broker here, so that's
mhm.
obviously why I'm hanging out with him. But he's also an
Yeah.
operator. There are 300 units, and I asked him.
Wow.
We were talking, we were chatting it up, and he said, "Dude, I'm just so tired of doing syndications because I give all my money to the investors." I said, I get it, but
Hmm.
I like it as a passive investor.
Yes,
There's
yes,
somebody out there
yes,
working their butt off to bring all that
yes,
money back to the investors. So we were
yes,
laughing because he's like, yeah, no, I want to get to where you're at. I want to be the passive investor. I want to be doing the lending. I want to be doing the passive LPs. But he said it's so hard to find a good operator. I said, but that's the secret. You
that's the
think it's
secret.
hard.
Yeah.
I think that that's my only job, right? My only
Mhm.
job is to find a great operator.
Yeah.
Find that person who knows what they're doing. Find the person who understands the markets, understands the industry, understands the asset class. And with that
Yeah.
fixity of purpose, it's changed. Now I know Vinney Chopra. I've known you for almost 4 years now. We've been doing this together for 3 years. That
Yes.
that came from a fixity of purpose shift, right? Changing my mindset to a place of passive income. I think that there's a lot of people who are waking up in America today. They're realizing their 50 years of working, 40 years of working, 30 years of working hasn't produced anything. Their small, return from how much money they've made hasn't produced in the way that it could, or their business that is, I know people with businesses that pay themselves 250,000, 400,000 a year, but the business is worth 5 million.
Yeah.
And they in their head, they're like, I can't sell it. Like in my head, I can't keep it. Like there's no way I'd keep something worth
Yeah.
5 mil to only make 400,000. I want that gone. I want it out of my life. That's my fixity of purpose is passive income. That's my
Yeah.
one fixity of purpose. How does somebody go and shift? Somebody who's at that point where they're right, like they're thinking about selling their business, thinking about selling their real estate, thinking about selling stocks. Right now, I know a lot of people missed the window to sell Bitcoin. I missed the
Yeah.
window.
Look at
They
that. Oh
should
my
have sold.
gosh.
But there's people who
Yeah.
did sell, right? Vinny? There's people who did sell. They sold at
Sure.
the top.
Sure.
What do you say
See,
to
the
somebody who's
I would
let's say
say,
let's say they've been in an asset like Bitcoin, right? It's not paying any dividends. It's not paying any
nothing.
returns. It's not doing anything
Yeah.
for them.
It's just the upside. And it went
Right.
from, of course, lower level to higher. And people were really going, it could go to 200,000, 500. I don't know. But the
So
thing
so
is,
somebody who's been focusing on appreciation for so long and
mhm,
ignoring cash flow, like if they were to shift their mindset, what would you say would be the steps to shift from appreciation only to looking for that cash flow, the preferred return, that monthly or quarterly dividend? How does a person come to that fixity of purpose? Because that's who
see,
you deal with. You got 500, 600 investors who they've decided,
yeah.
I'm done with this. I want that.
I mean, you have to read the market. You have to see the trends. You have to see what's happening in the multifamily, which I was in quite a bit. We still have two assets left. But the key thing
Oh,
is
I
the
thought you
cash
sold out
flow.
entirely. I thought you were completely
No,
done
I
with it.
do have two big ones, almost 125 million worth. But the thing is, you got to really make sure as the time is shifting, you got to make a decision. Hey, the cash flow is drying out because of certain reasons. What's the other pivot? You got to pivot your business. That's how I shifted into hospitality 7 years back. And thank goodness I learned it from ground up and had some big wins. And now we are finding that it's risky. If it's risky if you don't understand where you're buying, location, who's going to operate, and everything. But once you have really figured out the right product, right hotels like we are buying, and then have a great operator that we can manage, the operator managing the managers, it's called, then cash flow is king. I mean, I'm looking at IRR of 22%. It's unheard of. I just had a meeting yesterday with an investor, and they said we need 4%. If I can make 4% in my IRA account, I'm happy. 4%, because that's what it takes to use up as a senior 4% a year to keep your investment intact, so
Yep.
that it's not depleting. So the
I have
key
a
thing,
friend, Vinny, who has $10
yeah,
million in their bank account. They're earning 3.5%. They're making
yeah,
350,000 a year.
there we
They're
go.
100% okay with it because
Yeah,
there's no risk, right? There's no
that's the
downside.
thing.
It's bonds, it's debt, it's
Yes.
T-bills. Uh,
Hmm.
and they're a mentor of mine. I'm like, oh, how did you get there? Well, I did this, I did that, and this was my solution. It's not all they own. It's just a chunk of the portfolio. So that mindset, it's a decision,
It's
right?
the
What
decision. It's the decision, and also fixity of the purpose. If your purpose is, I don't want to just be earning 3%, I want to earn 6%. There are lots of vehicles out there to make 6% and sleep well at nighttime,
protected? Yeah,
or
protected.
8 or 10 or 12. Like
Where
we're
where does
giving
the
cash
risk
flows.
where does the risk start getting high, right? Like
Well,
where does it
high returns have high risks. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
I mean, the low returns have less risk,
right.
but a lot of people want to have very high returns, but zero
Outsized
risk.
returns.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
have to really find the operators, indicators, or funds in real estate, if you can, in different commercial sectors, and feel good about it. You
Yeah.
got to understand what you're putting money in, where you're putting, who are the principals, who are people on the guarantors and the loan and everything, and how are they protected through SEC ruling, Securities and Exchange Commission
What
rules.
what would
Yeah.
you say to operators of real estate,
Yes.
business owners who have been stuck just operating busy, 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 and they don't feel comfortable making the shift. They don't believe it's possible. They have the money, right? They have
Yeah.
the money to retire, and if they deployed it the right way, they'd have the money to retire. But they say it's too hard to find a good operator. I don't know enough about the industry. It's I don't trust people. How does a person change that mindset? Because you get whatever you believe. You get whatever you focus on.
Oh my gosh, you just took the words out of my mouth. What you believe right here between your ears is what the reality will be. If you say there is nobody good out there, guess what? All around you, you could find them. There is nobody good at all. But if you say no, there are operators who are giving great returns, and check them out and ask AI and ask other people and all, recommendations, referrals, all those are very important. There are people out there who are giving great returns.
Yeah.
I mean, my goal is to buy 5 more hotels this year. I'm going to Dallas next week. I'll be broadcasting from there, by the way. It's
Nice.
going to be fun. It's going to be fun because I'm meeting with my partners, and 2026 is going to be a banner year in cash flows and making some great acquisitions. And we're going to live very happily after for the next 5 years. But this is the year we need to really step in multifamily, in senior living, and in hotels. I say all three. I'm focused more on the hotels, hospitality, because my partners have been living, breathing, smelling since 13 years of age and
That's what I'm
17.
looking for right there. What you just said, that belief system. I've found the right partners. I've chose the asset class based on the partners, based on their
Yes,
capacity. This is what they're very good
yes,
at. You've gotten
yes,
out of multifamily, even though you see the opportunity, you're moving into
yes.
hotels because the operator, the strength of the operator, and you have this saying of like, my operators are the best. Like
Yeah.
you only attract the greatest operators to yourself.
Thank you.
That's the
Thank
I
you.
say it to myself. I'm like, I only work with the best operators. It's an affirmation, and it's become the truth because I say
Yes.
it so much. Only the best operators are coming into my space or into my existence. So before we
You
jump off of
got to
here,
set
yep,
the law of attraction. Rhonda Burns, we talk about her all the time.
yeah,
The law of attraction, law of manifestation, sorry. The more you think about, the more you send signals out of negative or positive or fixity of purpose. We are talking about Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's book. The more you send the signals and get your subconscious and conscious ready for some great opportunities, people will be flocking and coming in your circle because the manifestation of your thinking is going to happen negatively or positively. You decide, and then don't be a spectator, I call it, because if you're a spectator, life will pass by. When the opportunity comes, let the opportunity open the door and you step in. You got to take actions. And that is all. Those points I sent you, maybe we could go over those 4 points. That might be a good summary for the book summary. Of course, there are so many great ideas and things. I read that book when I came 50 years back in this country, changed my life. And there are so many ways that you can dream and think and all that, and then it becomes reality later on when you persevere. Don't take no for an answer, and really be totally, yeah, what's the word? Real, passionate and burning desire, no matter what. Things come on the way always, You got to bypass those things, go over the wall, under the wall, or through the wall, I say, to get to your goals.
you've heard it here. That's Vinney Chopra. He wrote the book Positivity Brings Profitability. If you want to learn more about what we're doing here with Abundance Thursdays, you go to vinnychopra.com/events. Get more education there. You go to alchemistnation.com. There's also a link, ibuildmillionaires.com, because we're building 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. So if you're already a millionaire, we could use the help. We found that millionaires are the best people to give advice to other people who are on their way up. So if you have it on your heart, have it in your desire to help us build more millionaires, you can go and find us at ibuildmillionaires.com and book a call with me or Vinney so we can start having the conversation of what is it that we can do? What is it your niche is to help us get more people understanding how easy, well, it's not easy, but it is simple.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
simple the philosophies
right.
behind building wealth are. Ladies and gentlemen, cheers to your success. When you have a choice, always work with the best. We do this Abundance Thursday every Thursday at 9
Yes.
p.m., 9 a.m.
And I am
PST,
Pacific.
12 p.m. EST. We'll